I'm the respiratory manager at Sutter Davis Hospital.
Okay. And I believe you oversee not only the respiratory department, it was
Not just respiratory, I have non-invasive cardiology as well as cardiac and pulmonary rehab and neurology. Like, that's not really a staff, but just a few people trained to do EEGs when those come up.
I see. Okay, we have a series of questions we just would like to ask you. So the first one is just, what is just a regular work day for you?
A regular work day for me? My day starts at 8:15 because we do a staffing review call at 8:15 every morning. So all the department managers call in and you kind of give a color for the status of your staffing, green, yellow, red, and go through any challenges that you have for the day and kind of through the financials. You know, we flexed out X number of hours yesterday. I'm anticipating we may or may not. HRAD today, and then kind of the financials as far as productivity goes. Green is we're doing good today. We've got all the people that we need. Everybody will get a break. We're doing good. Yellow is maybe we had a call out, so you know we'll pretty much be okay, but we could miss a break. We could miss a lunch, and if the workload jumps up, it could be tough for us, you know, to get to places timely. And then red is we're in a crisis. You know, maybe we had both RTs call out or cardiology the same, like maybe I don't have an echo tech that day or something like that. So red is kind of we're in trouble.
Okay, and then so that's the beginning part of the day.
That's the beginning part of my day. Our hospital also does a safety huddle at 8:30. So again, all the department managers, we come together mostly in person for that meeting and kind of go over the status of safety. If we had any employee injuries, if we had any patient falls, any issues with universal protocol in surgery or C-sections, and then just anything safety-wise that people may be concerned about for that day. You know, if there's a product that we're completely out of and we need it, like that can be escalated in that meeting. Then come back to the department. Our department does our department huddle Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9. So that's me and my team get together. I give them updates. You know, we kind of do an around the room. How is each area doing today? Any challenges that they see in their area? We do a lot of education in that meeting, not just like upcoming events or due dates that you need to be aware of, but we educate. Right now we're going through educating to the benefits of the hospital. We've gone through like some HR and payroll type education. And our huddle, some people huddle for 5 minutes. Our huddle's like half an hour. Wow. But it's only 3 times a week, where a lot of other people, you know, they huddle at each shift change. So, you know, it's just kind of a different dynamic. And then from there I go into the rest of my day, whatever that may contain. If it's meetings, if it's meeting with staff, or if it's doing, you know, reports, whatever it may entail.
So busy in the morning.
The morning, everything's kind of crammed in there, and then it's kind of nice once that stuff settles down. Then you're like, okay, what do I really need to get done?
Right.
Catch up on the rest.
Right, kind of do it at your own pace.
Okay, and what's one challenge you occasionally or regularly face in your job?
With my job, so like when I was a bedside RT, you know, you were the person that was frontline. Your job was the patient. When I went into management, like that kind of shifts. Your job is the people that go out and see the patient. And people can be difficult. Like you would think it's the workplace, we're all adults. We're all professionals. But there are still challenges that come with that. Like you find, like you have to like kind of just harp on people about, you know, oh, remember e-learning is coming due, or your CPR card is due in 2 weeks. Have you taken your class yet? You know, it still feels like there's a lot of prodding and hand-holding, and sometimes you're like, man, we're all adults. Why does it have to be that way? So that was one thing I never realized before I went into management, is that
some hand-holding required.
there's a lot of hand-holding required that you wouldn't expect with professional adults.
Okay. What made you decide to go into management? Like,
I never really made a conscious decision, I don't think, to go into leadership. Like, it kind of landed on me. So it was 2010 when I became a lead RT in our department. And that was because our previous lead RT had gone out on a medical leave and never came back. And I was part-time at the time, so I had extra time. And so they had me coming in doing some of the things that she was doing. So then when she left and wasn't coming back, like, I think everyone kind of figured, you know, it would be like a natural fit. I didn't want it at that time, honestly. I was the newest therapist in the department. I was the youngest therapist in the department. I didn't really want the position. But I talked to our manager at the time, and she said, you know, that's fine. If you really don't want it, then you don't want it. She said, but somebody will get it. So do you want to train your boss, or do you want to be the boss? So then it was kind of like, you know, well, I don't really want to train somebody to do what I know how to do.
Yeah.
So I took it.
So yeah, just kind of escalated.
Yeah, and then it kind of morphed from there. It became a supervisor position in 2014. That's when I got cardiology and rehab as well. And then I just took the manager position last year.
Wow, congratulations.
So thank you.
That's a lot.
So yeah,
Okay.
leadership found me. I didn't necessarily go looking for
So
it.
you answer our next question. What steps did you take to get where you are now?
Like, how long were you in RT before?
I was in RT for 5 years before I took the lead position. And then it was about 4.5 years before it morphed into a supervisor position. And then I was supervisor for December of 2014 to the middle of last year. How many years is that? 8 years, something like that.
Have you ever thought about going back?
When I first came back from maternity leave after having my daughter, I went through a period of probably about 6 months where I thought, oh my God, like, do I really want this? Do I really want all this responsibility? I have a baby at home. Like, I'd rather just come to work, do my job, and go home. And, you know, the thought of 12-hour shifts, because our RTs do 12-hour shifts, like, that was appealing. Come work for 3 days and then go home and be off for 4.
Yeah.
So there was a period of time after I came back from maternity leave that I was kind of on the fence, thinking maybe do I want to just go back to the bedside. And it was right at the start of COVID, so like I felt like my job was totally different when I came back than it was when I left.
Oh yeah.
But I eventually got over that. Like,
so you're happy where you are?
I'm happy where I'm at. I've decided I like to be in charge.
Okay. And just
Like
works.
it just works for me. Like, I'm a very good organizer, and like, so when I see things that aren't very well organized, like, I'm itching to take control and fix it. So this job is just kind of a good fit for me. I get to organize it and run it all the way that I want to.
What is something about your job that people don't see or wouldn't expect?
Probably some of it is the surprise of the people component, you know, having to handhold
That was
people. And then sometimes some of the crucial conversations that you have to have with people, like, sometimes you're just like, really? You did what? Or you said what? Like, you know better than that. So, you know, sometimes having to sit down and have that conversation with, you know, you shouldn't have said that. Like, why were you rude? You know, sometimes I think that's a piece of management that people don't see or don't really think about.
It's definitely overlooked,
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now that we talked about where you came from and how you got to where you are, what's next for you?
I don't know. I'll probably be in this position for some time. I'm not somebody that really seeks going to the next level. Like, I'm not really looking for the title. I'm not looking for the raise. So I've been at Sutter Davis Hospital for 18 years, and I'll probably be here till I either die or retire. So I just move to the position that they need me in here.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'll just
a really
chill here till they need me in something else.
Okay, so now we kind of have seen where you are at. What do you think about, like, just in general RTs in the next 5 years? What do you think the respiratory, because we recently heard that more and more responsibilities are falling on the respiratory therapist. Do you have any, like, assumptions of where it'll be in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, I'm not sure. I see the future of RT, so probably 5 years and beyond, being more of a one, they're really changing a lot of what we can bill for. So we're not able to bill for as many services. I really foresee respiratory at some point in the future being more like nursing, not being able to really bill for anything, and our charges being wrapped into room charges. So I think that's something that the field kind of needs to think of and prepare for, that whole money-making system will change.
Oh wow! I didn't think about like how it could be similar to nursing. I didn't think about like the billing systems changing.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that RTs won't be necessary. There's a lot of services that hospitals have that can't bill for anything. Registration can't really bill anything. Case management doesn't really bill anything, but they're essential to the care of the patient.
Yeah.
So it's not that the service won't be necessary. It'll just, the monetary piece of it will change.
Interesting. So do you think there'll be, like, less RTs and just more responsibility will fall on nursing, or?
I think it could potentially go that way. There may be fewer RTs. We may do fewer of the small things like treatments. Like that may be something that could fall to nursing, and RT does more of the, ventilator management, intubations. I really think RT is going to have to go more in the direction of procedures. Procedures will remain billable.
I do see that, yeah. I know some people do bronx at other facilities.
I also heard about some facilities, the RTs are the ones that are intubating, not the MPs. And
yeah.
Like, a lot of times, usually the doctor intubates and he's out of there. So RTs manages the rest, so like...
So there may be more of RT taking over the actual intubation procedure, art line procedures, even potentially down the line, like central line placements.
Oh, wow.
That's
PIC
exciting.
line placements.
That is actually...
I think we're going to have to look more in that direction.
That's really cool. I didn't really look at it like in that perspective, so...
Yeah, that's what I foresee. And I foresee the degree requirements being higher. So it can be an associate's now, but I see, 10, 15 years down the road, they may make bachelor's required.
Oh, yeah.
I heard it might be sooner.
I think soon, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was sooner.
Okay, next question. Since you're a manager here and you're in charge of the hiring and management of your employees, what do you use to differentiate a good RT from a great RT?
Really, when it comes to my RTs, when I'm doing interviews and I'm hiring for a position, I don't really care that much about your RT skills. We can teach you RT skills during your orientation. What I'm looking for is the personable component. So the compassion, the being able to talk to people, look people in the eye, just sit down and have a conversation with somebody, be able to have some small talk while you're in the room with somebody. That's not something that's teachable. You kind of have to come in with that. So that's one of the things that I look for. I like an interview to feel more like a conversation and less of a question back and forth.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that before. It's just like you can teach skills, but you can't teach people to have a good personality.
Exactly.
It's just something they come with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't teach you a personality. I can teach you how to be an RT. Yeah. I can teach you how to manage a ventilator. I can't teach you how to have a personality.
Yeah.
Our next question was, where do you see our scope of practice expanding to? But we already
said,
covered that.
More procedures, I think.
I think that's really cool. And then our last question was, in a new hire, is there anything else you were looking for? I know you just said you can be more personable and more approachable, but is there anything else you look for in a new hire RT?
Obviously, what you're going to find a lot of people when you do interviews for jobs, they want to know your availability. Like when you first come into a department, if you're serious about the position, you're serious about that department, like you've got to have availability. You've got to work. You've got to be eager to work to get the experience necessary to become a good RT. So you can't do that if you have, you know, you're a per diem with 4 shifts available a month.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to get the experience that you need.
Yeah.
So, you know, 3-4 years down the road, you're still not totally comfortable in your skills because you've barely worked. So I think that's one of the big things that I look for with people is, you know, are they all in, or do they have 2 other jobs that they're trying to balance with this one and they're hardly going to have any availability?
Yeah, I've like seen some other RTs, you know, during my clinicals, they'll come back and it's like, oh, you've been gone for a month, you know, what do I do? So like, that's really understandable that it's a big requirement for you to have availability.
Yeah, and like even with our per diems aren't guaranteed any hours, but we try to work them somewhat regularly so that they can stay competent in their skills and how we do things here.
Yeah.
You know, so that's our approach.
What do you recommend for us to do to gain confidence in our first year of being RTs alone?
Like you really just have to be open to, you know, when you start a job, somebody's going to mentor you. Just really be open to what they have to say. You know, I think sometimes there's a lot of, and granted, I know there's some crusty old therapists out there, some people that aren't all that nice, but still people have knowledge, you know, so just listen to what they have to say and try and incorporate it into your practice. I think a lot of my older therapists sometimes feel like, oh, you know, they think I'm old. Nobody wants to listen to me anymore. And it's like, those are really the people you want to listen to. They've seen a lot. They've done a lot. So.
And they can read the people because they have so much experience.
They have so much experience.
They know.
So.
Yeah.
Granted, they get a little crusty over time. Like sometimes they're a little, you know, short. Like, ah. But, you know, they do have a lot of knowledge to pass on. So.
Okay.
All right.
That's it for us. If you have anything else, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm happy to help.